Shifting Time, Episode 3. Mid-1800s, a little girl happily playing by a river near a Native American settlement of teepees. Everyone is working on something. It looks very peaceful. Then at night, the soldiers come and raid the camp. Everyone wakes up and there is chaos. People are grabbing fire, their bows and arrows, trying to fight the attackers. Her mother grabs her children, including herself, and runs into the woods. Her mother falls as a bullet goes through her body. She tells the oldest child to take the other children into the forest and keep running as far as they could. They lose each other in the forest. The little girl finds herself alone when she wakes up. There is no one around, and she is very far from the camp. She tries to look for anyone and walks around for hours, and there is no one. Now it has been a few days. She is cold, and her clothes are getting torn. She has survived by scavenging food in the forest and meadows and drinking from streams, sleeping in the hook of a tree. After a few weeks, some pioneers come in a covered wagon. There are several families. They stop to make camp, build a fire, and make some food. The little girl watches from behind a tree. One of the kids goes exploring and sees her watching. They interact, but realize they cannot speak the same language. She ends up being taken in and goes to settle with them. She builds a house with them. But as she grows up, she is always different. She is dark-skinned compared to them. The other white people, not her adopted family, treat her like trash. She ends up being raped and runs away. She comes across a town and is looking for food and a bed, and ends up in a brothel. They try to give her a wig and lighten her skin with makeup. She grows older and becomes like a mother to the new girls. She is a healer. You see her with some regular customers. Everyone loves Rose. She has one regular in particular that she really has a thing for. He comes and stays with her whenever he's in town. Crystal is in a meditation led by her trainer, a soft-spoken Native American man. She is lying down, covered with a blanket, and recounting the regression. They are talking about it now, and Crystal says, "I always had a feeling I was a prostitute, even though in this life it has been the total opposite. I have always had a soft spot for someone in that position and get emotional inside. Also, I had an experience where someone yelled the name Rose, and I swung around and briefly had a flash of looking down at my very voluptuous body with a very black hair. Wow." Her trainer says, "Do you want to make a shift and have the opportunity to make a different choice as a little girl?" Crystal agrees, and they start the journey. They first go to her soul garden, and Crystal meets a guide to go with her. It is a brown bear. Crystal goes back to when she was a little girl. We see more interactions with the kids and adults in the Native American camp. They call her Little Flower. Back to the scene which appears as the soldiers come to raid the camp. Her trainer says, "Ask your guide what to do. Is there another choice you can make?" The bear telepathically communicates to her that she should make a greater effort to stay with the other kids. So she catches up with her older brother and grabs his hand. He is carrying a younger child in his other arm. Later that evening, they find their people that have collected in the forest. This is the remnant after the raid. Her mother is gone, but her father is the chief and is still there. She realizes with a start that this is her son in her present life. She lives a long life with her people and does not become a prostitute. Afterwards, Crystal finds her life shifting some more. She is able to release the victim thinking. We see her as a scientist, and she becomes more confident. She is able to stand up for her integrity. She is not able to cover up what the managers want her to. Shortly after, she puts in her resignation. She decides that it is time to open her business to do this work, to help people heal their lives. She has been doing naturopathic work for many years, mostly for her family, but also has some clients on the side. After her divorce a few years ago, she also started accumulating some spiritual classes. She learned many techniques beyond just eating organic foods and using herbs, homeopathics, and essential oils as remedies and preventatives. She now was starting to understand that everything is energy, and there are other energetic healing tools. Among them was understanding that time doesn't exist in other dimensions. It is linear in the third dimension, but in reality, all of our lifetimes are right here, and we can access them if we just ask. We also carry all of our memories in the cells of our bodies. That is why if you bump a certain spot, you spontaneously remember something you hadn't thought about in a long time. Maybe from childhood or college years. Maybe just an image that feels random but is really another lifetime. It could also just invoke a feeling from an experience you once had. It was time. She found a great location for an office space with an apartment behind it. The kids were all grown and had basically moved out. Her youngest, Jessica, was in college and only home on vacations. She had an extra room for her, which could also be used as a guest room. So she sold her house and started what her heart was calling her to do. Word of mouth was quick to bring her many clients, so it wasn't long until she started making a livable income. A year later, she met Daniel at an art show where his sculptures were on display. A biologist by training, but he left his job many years ago to pursue his passion as an artist. He has a successful gallery and does a lot of social justice statement work. He cares about people and social issues. They connected with a strong familiarity and attraction. Crystal knew they must have been in a past life together, but that is another story, another day.